On September 7th, a food delivery driver in Shenzhen was seen taking a quick bite of a bun and drinking bottled water while waiting at a red light. This scene, captured by a passerby, quickly went viral online. In the video, the delivery driver sits on his electric scooter, taking a few bites of a bun before reaching into his delivery bag for a large bottle of water. After drinking a few sips, he checks his scooter. Just as he finishes his meal, the light turns green, and he hurries off, bun in hand. While it seems like an ordinary moment, the scene highlights the tough conditions many delivery drivers face, leaving viewers with a heavy heart. The video has amassed tens of millions of views across major Chinese platforms, receiving countless likes and shares, and spreading widespread discussion and attention. One viewer commented, "I couldn't hold back my tears while watching." Another said, "He looks like a recent college graduate." It turns out that this viewer wasn't wrong. Someone recognized him as a former university classmate who had studied Java programming. This means the delivery driver is at least a college graduate with a background in computer science, now working as a delivery driver. The commenter also shared that they were now working as a security guard. The video resonated with many other delivery workers who said, "This is my daily life too. Sometimes there's not even time to eat a bun." One person commented, "I've had the same experience. Red lights are the only time I get to eat, just a few bites and it's gone." Another added, "It's true. Each delivery only earns a few yuan, but a simple lunch costs 15 to 20 yuan, 2 hours of hard work down the drain, so I can't bring myself to spend on food." A different viewer said, "Having anything to eat is a blessing. I can't even afford a bun anymore. How has it become so hard to make a living in this messed up society?" Just a few days later, on September 10th, in Shandong province, a delivery driver was spotted shivering in the pouring rain while waiting at a red light, his body curled up in an attempt to stay warm. This heartbreaking sight left many viewers reflecting on the harsh reality of delivery work. In Bozhou, Anhui, at 2 a.m., a police officer on duty found a delivery worker who had fallen asleep at a red light. Concerned for his safety, the officer kindly woke him up. Embarrassed, the driver explained that he was so exhausted that he had accidentally dozed off. These moments are undeniably heart-wrenching, showing just how hard they work to survive. Recently, even more shocking news emerged. A delivery worker collapsed and died on the job, raising further alarm about the extreme pressures they face. In the early hours of September 6, a heartbreaking incident unfolded in the elegant restaurant Le Huayuan unit of Hangzhou's Yuhang district. A middle-aged food delivery driver was found lying motionless on his electric scooter, where he had been since 9 p.m. the previous evening. At first, bystanders thought he was simply asleep, but when a fellow delivery worker tried to wake him, they realized that he had tragically passed away. Footage from the scene shows the man slumped over his scooter, his hands hanging limply by his side. His delivery box was placed quietly next to him, with the police cordoning off the area, creating a somber atmosphere. The person who posted the video captioned it, "The fall of a delivery king. Please remember to take care of yourselves and get some rest. Don't push yourselves too hard." Local authorities later confirmed that the deceased, identified as 55-year-old Yuan, had died of non-criminal causes. According to people familiar with his situation, Yuan wasn't a local, and his family faced significant financial pressures. Despite poor health, he was known for working relentlessly, earning around 500 to 600 yuan daily and over 700 yuan on rainy days. He was often called the delivery king for logging the longest work hours among his peers. Colleagues recalled that Yuan frequently worked until 3 a.m., only to start again at 6 a.m., surviving on just 3 or 4 hours of sleep each day. When he wasn't delivering, he would sleep on his scooter, immediately waking up to accept new orders as soon as his phone rang. Some even mentioned seeing him sleeping under bridges. One netizen commented, "This year's heat wave has been unprecedented. Imagine a man in his 50s still delivering food in such extreme weather. Life is hard, and many are pushing themselves to the brink just to make ends meet. It's tragic." A blogger shared a video reflecting on the situation. The man was in his 50s, supporting both the young and the old in his family. At this age, the burden is the heaviest, and he was their sole breadwinner. In middle age, finding suitable work is even harder. The weight on his shoulders must have been unbearable. We often say to take care of ourselves, but sometimes life forces us to keep going. For some, working their fingers to the bone, just struggling for basic survival. The blogger added, "Rest in peace, sir." Financial blogger Meta Mama expressed her sorrow. Who understands the suffering of ordinary people? Even in the old days when people pulled rickshaws, few worked themselves to death. Yuan's relentless work ethic made him a legend among his peers, but it also cost him his life. Working 20 hours a day is something even the young would struggle to endure, yet he persevered until his final breath. Yuan's death sparked a wave of frustration and protest among delivery workers. Finally, someone stood up. On September 8th, in Shanghai's Nanjing East Road, a delivery driver dressed in a Meituan uniform held up a sign in the middle of the street, calling for change. His sign read, "The Times are calling for a Martin Luther King in China. Our society needs a communication and negotiation mechanism between different classes. And we, the workers, are people, not cattle or horses. We need our union, our representatives. We demand an 8-hour workday, not 300 hours a month. Society should develop to improve people's quality of life, not deprive them of it." Although the photo of this brave driver holding his sign was quickly removed from Weibo, it spread widely on international platforms, sparking intense discussion overseas. Viewers were quick to praise his courage, with comments like, "This guy sees the core issue and has the guts to call it out. Respect to a hero. People won't forget what you've done. Fighting back is the first step. It's a good start." Some even commented, "This makes me hopeful for the younger generation of the 90s and 95s. However, some expressed concern for his future. If Martin Luther King were in China, he would have been arrested, sentenced, and imprisoned from the start. China's system doesn't allow people like this to exist. Every time, it's just a pressure cooker waiting to explode, with no communication between the top and bottom. While many admire his bravery, there are real concerns about what lies ahead for him. Under the rule of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, such acts of defiance are not tolerated. His fate could very well be detention, or even worse, disappearance. Ex-platform blogger Luo Xiang shared his thoughts on the recent incident where a food delivery driver held a sign in protest. Martin Luther King's efforts were a product of a civilized society. Does this delivery driver believe there could be internal reform within the CCP? That's a dead end. The 1989 Tiananmen Square protests and massacre, the White Paper movement, and other democratic efforts have already shown that non-revolutionary means are unrealistic in China under CCP leadership. However, the driver's courage is truly commendable, comparable to past student movements. Many righteous people can see that the CCP is in its last gasp, struggling to hold on. Therefore, our compatriots must unite and fight bravely to create a democratic republic. But I don't recommend openly confronting the CCP. Instead, we should adopt tactics like those used by Bangladesh. Covert sabotage and hidden tactics are the most effective means for the weak to combat the CCP. Don't engage in confrontation. Go underground. Make the CCP feel surrounded by enemies, under constant attack. This will drive them to madness. Others voiced differing opinions. Martin Luther King symbolized nonviolent protest, but pushing for public reform in China is a major challenge. The delivery driver showed great courage, but individual appeals can only go so far, especially under the CCP's tight surveillance. His actions may spark reflection and could be the seed for future change. Luo Xiang's suggestion of guerrilla tactics may have limited viability in China. It carries high risks and raises serious moral questions. Long-term change may require broader, covert strategies, with nonviolent resistance proving more effective in the long run. Meanwhile, some delivery drivers have been pushed to their limits and have chosen to leave the industry. Last year, a Chinese media outlet reported on a family of 5 delivering food in Beijing. Recently, the eldest son, Ma Chuang, posted a video revealing that due to the dangers of food delivery, the family has since returned to their hometown and left the industry. He pointed out that his father had been involved in a traffic accident while delivering orders last year, but the insurance company only offered 3,000 yuan in compensation.
I'm the eldest son from that family of 6. 5 of us were delivering food in Beijing. It's hard to believe, right? In just a year, we've all moved back to our hometown and left the food delivery industry entirely. A lot of people ask why we left Beijing, and to be honest, it all comes down to the fact that this job is just too dangerous. It's a high-risk industry. Take the recent death of the delivery driver in Hangzhou as an example. When you're delivering food, you never know when something could happen to you.
Ma shared how, when he first started delivering food in 2020, the delivery fee for a 3-kilometer order during lunch hour was between 10 and 12 yuan. By 2024, however, that same peak hour delivery had dropped to just 5 yuan per order. Beyond the lower pay, Ma found the tightening delivery times even more exploitative. When he started, he had 50 to 60 minutes to deliver within 3 kilometers. This was later reduced to 38 to 42 minutes. From the moment an order was received, the process involves waiting for the restaurant to prepare the meal, picking it up, and delivering it to the customer. The 40-minute countdown left Ma Chuang gasping for breath. He also noted that delivery drivers who work in teams are generally unable to take time off. He gave an example. In a regular job, if you're sick, you can go to the hospital and get a doctor's note to take time off. But that doesn't work for us. Even if you're injured, you have to grit your teeth and keep going. Over his 4 years in the industry, Ma Chuang witnessed people delivering orders while on IV drips because they were running a fever. Deliveries that run late not only delay future orders, but also result in a deduction from the delivery fee. Taking Lopao Express delivery as an example, if an order is late by 1 to 60 seconds, 20% to 30% of the fee is deducted. If it's late by 5 to 10 minutes, 50% is deducted. By being late by 10 to 20 minutes results in an 80% deduction. Ma added, "When things get tight, you don't care whether the light is red or green, you just have to go." This constant race against the clock caused Ma to experience extreme anxiety, to the point where he would dream that he was late. Overwhelmed by the stress, he eventually decided to quit the industry. The sudden death of the delivery driver in Hangzhou sparked conversations about whether such tragedies stem from the exploitative practices of food delivery platforms. Critics say that these platforms are profiting threefold of the merchants, the consumers, and the delivery drivers themselves. China's food delivery platforms leverage big data and algorithms to exploit delivery workers, trapping them within the system and turning them into mere delivery machines. It's a relentless grind that pushes workers to their breaking point. Yet these delivery drivers, caught in the struggle to survive, have no bargaining power against the platforms.
People need to stop saying that food delivery platforms ignore the basic rights of delivery workers. It's not neglect, it's intentional. All the algorithmic rules are deliberately designed this way to boost so-called efficiency, while shifting all the risks onto the delivery drivers. People always complain that delivery riders don't follow traffic laws, going against traffic, or running red lights. But the truth is, the routes the platforms give them often include paths where they have to go against traffic. One of my delivery colleagues told me that out of the 17 orders he had to deliver, 5 of them involved routes that required him to ride against traffic. And here's the deadly part. The system calculates the time limits based on these shortest routes, which include going against traffic. If the rider doesn't break the rules and follow the route, they're almost certain to be late, and that means a fine. So the system is essentially forcing riders to break traffic laws just to make it on time.
The blogger further mentioned that while food delivery platforms highlight the shortest routes on the app interface, the navigation doesn't always follow these rules. At the same time, drivers are reminded to follow traffic regulations, allowing the platform to shift all responsibility away from themselves. They know that with such a design, accidents are inevitable for delivery drivers. In addition to pushing drivers to violate traffic laws, the platform's algorithm also forces them to illegally modify their electric scooters. Suppose a driver uses a standard scooter that complies with national regulations. In that case, they will almost certainly run late and make no money, since the system estimates delivery times based on the fastest possible speeds. Being late leads to fines. As a result, many delivery drivers feel compelled to modify their scooters from a standard speed of 25 kilometers per hour to over 60 or even 70 kilometers per hour. This dangerous practice is one of the leading causes of frequent accidents among delivery workers. However, they also face the risk of being caught by the police, and if their modified scooters are discovered, they may be confiscated. In theory, the system should be able to detect if a driver is breaking the law or speeding, but it turns a blind eye to these violations and the safety of the drivers. Because breaking the law is seen as the driver's problem, their safety and well-being are also considered their responsibility, not the platform's. The platform only cares about efficiency and speed. According to data from traffic police in Xiaogan, Hubei, in 2021, the rate of traffic violations among delivery drivers exceeded 40%, while the accident rate ranged between 1.9% and 2.6%. Although delivery drivers are required to purchase insurance, getting compensation after an accident is difficult due to many restrictions. For example, if a driver's scooter has been illegally modified, or if the accident occurred while they were running a red light or riding against traffic, it's nearly impossible to get compensated. But can we blame the drivers entirely? When faced with a choice between making a living or breaking traffic laws, what can they do? When a delivery driver has an accident, getting compensation from the platform is nearly impossible. Most of them are either subcontracted or work through crowdsourcing, meaning they haven't signed any formal contracts with the platform. Take the recent case of the delivery driver who suddenly died in Hangzhou. He worked through crowdsourcing. Even though he died while waiting for an order, the platform bears no responsibility and there will be no compensation. The reason platforms can exploit drivers like this is due to the complicated and ambiguous labor relationship between them. Drivers may wear platform-branded clothing, use platform-branded equipment, and even face fines from the platform, but they are not considered employees. The involvement of subcontracting and crowdsourcing companies allows platforms to evade much of their legal responsibility, taking advantage of legal loopholes. This man believes that caring about delivery drivers means caring about ourselves, and it raises the bar for the basic conditions we all live under. In today's employment environment, no one knows when they might find themselves in this line of work. According to 2023 data, there are 84 million workers in China employed in the new gig economy, such as food delivery, courier services, and ride-hailing. They make up 1/5 of the nation's workforce. Yet, despite this large number, China has not introduced any specific laws to protect these workers. It's worth mentioning that on September 10th, Singapore's parliament passed the Platform Workers Bill in its third reading. This landmark bill provides labor protections for platform workers such as food delivery drivers and ride-hailing drivers, granting them access to social security benefits and the right to strike under reasonable and considered circumstances. This bill is seen as a milestone, striking a balance between the interests of all parties while offering protections to approximately 70,500 platform workers out of Singapore's population of 5.29 million. Singapore is now one of the first countries in the world to legislate protections for platform workers, including benefits like retirement, workplace injury compensation, and union rights. Many in China are calling for similar laws to protect delivery drivers and other platform workers. However, the outlook isn't optimistic, as such legislation is typically the result of democratic processes, which are absent under the current authoritarian regime in China. Following the death of the 50-year-old delivery driver in Hangzhou, there were rumors that Meituan had introduced a new rule prohibiting people over 45 years old from registering as drivers. Those already registered would no longer receive system-generated orders. In response, Meituan denied the rumor, stating that the maximum age limit for registration is 60 years. However, this isn't the first time Meituan has faced rumors regarding age restrictions for drivers. According to a 2023 investigative article, the crowdsourcing platform does indeed require drivers to be between 18 and 57 years old. However, recruitment notices for Meituan's specialized delivery services across the country often cap the age limit at 45, with some locations lowering it to 40. This clearly shows that Meituan has been dishonest. Many middle-aged workers between 35 and 45 years old who are struggling to find employment once saw food delivery as their last option, but now even this opportunity seems to be slipping away with the introduction of age limits. These unemployed individuals, still responsible for supporting their families, are fully capable of handling delivery work. If all platforms impose such age restrictions, they're essentially pushing middle-aged people into a dead end. The death of the Hangzhou delivery driver has also reignited discussions about death from overwork. He was just one example of the hardworking stereotype many Chinese embrace. Under immense life pressures, the concept of rest hardly exists in the minds of many Chinese workers, let alone the idea of enjoying life. This is why extreme work schedules like the 996 work-hour system, where employees work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, persist. Not only do many workers lack a concept of rest, but even some entrepreneurs push themselves to the brink, leading to numerous cases of entrepreneurs dying from overwork. According to data released by Chinese state media, around 600,000 people die from overwork in China every year. Overwork has seemingly become the norm in the Chinese workplace, making China the country with the highest rate of overwork-related deaths. So, what is the root cause of this overwork epidemic? Some say it's cultural. Others point to certain systemic issues. However, one netizen offered a more precise answer. It's the system, an unfair system.